How's it going, guys? Here we are with the C2GS Draft League Season 0 tiebreaker match. It's a rematch against Turbo, who was the person I fought in week 2, the first week that I actually participated, because I got a bye week on the first week. In a miraculous turn of events in the final week, Turbo won 6-0 in a match that he was expected to lose in the final week, and then I won 2-0 against my opponent, which put us exactly in a tie position as far as wins and differential go, which means that to determine who gets into the last playoff slot, we actually have to do a quick tiebreaker match. I'm actually filming this on Tuesday night right now, which is only 2 days after I did my final week match, so I had to build this really, really quickly because I'm actually leaving on a trip, and I'm going to be away when this uploads. But yeah, this is the best. I tried really hard on this one. I really hope I win. So first up is Slowbro. This is going to be our best Lycan Rock or Zapdos switching. Jolly Lycan Rock Crunch does 36 to 42 to us before we Mega Evolve. And an Adamant Banded Zapdos Brave Bird does 49 to 58% before we Mega Evolve, but it does 34 to 40 after we Mega Evolve. So we're able to switch into one and then Mega Evolve and then switch into and then take another one so that we can slack off or something. We can also switch into Specs Hydro Pumps from Greninja. They do 35 to 41% before it Battle Bonds. Obviously, this is incredibly risky because it could also just Dark Pulse us. It's also great against Heatmor. Giga Drain. Well, it's kind of great against Heatmor. If it's like a physical set, then it's great. If it's a physical Heatmor with Giga Drain, it'll do 34 to 41 to us. So if it's like a full special set, or if it's like Fire Lash into Throat Chop, I guess that could be scary. But if it's that, he would need to set up quite a few Fire Lashes, but that's too risky to do because he's going to get one shot by most Scald rolls. Like I said, Scald hits pretty much everything on his team. His only water resists are Greninja and Tapu Bulu. Last time I ran Signal Beam as my secondary move to hit Greninja, but I never ended up using it. This also can wall a defensive Scizor if it's lacking Swords Dance, but that's a pretty fringe case. Scald does 34 to 40% to the standard OU defensive Scizor set. I'd like Psychic to check Zapdos more effectively this time as an alternative to Signal Beam, since our last fight, and now he has picked up Tapu Bulu as a secondary water resist. So Signal Beam has lost what little value it had essentially. I didn't even click it last time, I don't think. Psychic does 82 to 97 to it, which is pretty good. Toxic is for potential switch-ins like Greninja or Tapu Bulu. Alternatively, Scald, I could also just Scald it instead. That's another easy option. It'll do like a quarter to Greninja. It potentially burns Bulu on the switch-in, which is also great. And it means that I could probably wall it if it's burned, if it's lacking Swords Dance. Getting a Toxic off on Corsola would be really nice. We have Slack off for recovery. And we have 12 speed EVs so that we can dodge the Corsola speed tie since we're both base 12 speed. This might look familiar to you. This is another Choice Scarf Zeraora. I think the EVs might be a little bit different though. We're Choice Scarf yet again. We gotta outspeed a potential Scarf Greninja or even Scarf Zapdos. Because it didn't quite come down to that last time. It wasn't game changing, but he did have Scarf Zapdos last time, and us being Scarf did help us. Ash Greninja hits 399 speed, so we're at 400. Plasma Fist one-shots both Greninja and Zapdos. Well, it's a 94% chance to one-shot Zapdos. Something to note is that a Specs Water Shuriken does 56 to 68% to us. That's why we have a hasty nature instead of a naive nature, so that we can reduce the Water Shuriken damage. Because we want to be reducing our defense instead of our special defense. This unfortunately makes us weaker to Accelerock. A Jolly Life Orb Accelerock does 34 to 41 to us. I think he's going to be an Adamant Lycanroc because if he's Jolly, then he risks being outsped by Charizard. We're not full speed Charizard, but he doesn't know that. We could be. Even Volt Switch does massive damage to Greninja and Zapdos. Volt Switch is obviously great for momentum. His only electric resists are Piloswine and Tapu Bulu. If we can remove Piloswine from the field, I'd really like to abuse Volt Switch a lot. And speaking of Piloswine, Knockoff is a great utility move to help us with Piloswine and Corsola. Removing Eviolites from both of those would be great. If the Greninja's like Specs or something, I'd really like to remove that. Moltres' boots are also good to remove. Close Combat is another move that lets us hit Piloswine it. It's also a one-shot on Greninja, so it's relatively safe on that if it's like a 50-50. Or like if we're not sure if he's going to stay in Greninja or like switch into Piloswine or something, Close Combat is still pretty safe. Only problem is, if you might remember from week 2, he could also just switch in Corsola to completely absorb the Close Combat, but that's part of what we have knockoff for. We deal 47 to 55 to a max HP Piloswine with Eviolite, and if the Eviolite's been knocked off, it'll become 70 to 83%. Bringing Close Combat, unfortunately, does make us walled by Tapu Bulu. I had considered running Hidden Power Poison as our third move, but I've had trouble justifying it because that's pretty much the only thing that it hits, really. So I think Close Combat is more utility. Next up is Hitmonchan. This is an excellent revenge killer and a potential late game cleaner. It's time for Choice Band. We've been running Assault Vest a lot, or like bulky sets in general, but this time we're going to run full offense. 105 isn't a huge attack stat, but it's good in Draft League, and Iron Fist plus Choice Band, when we have all 4 punching moves, is going to make it super, super strong, right? Drain Punch is going to be our main stab move, and it's very cleanly one-shots both Greninja and Lycanroc, and it has a 6% chance to one-hit KO Heatmore. It does 2/3 minimum to an offensive Scizor, and it does 39 to 47 to a specially defensive Aggron. And it does 3/4 minimum to a max HP Eviolite Piloswine. Fire Punch is specifically for Scizor and Tapu Bulu. It one-shots every single Scizor that doesn't have an Aqua Berry. If it's offensive and has an Aqua Berry, it still takes at least 90%. And an offensive Tapu Bulu, just straight up, it'll take 80 to 94% to us. And we have EVs to specifically outspeed Tapu Bulu. We have 76 base speed, and Tapu Bulu is 75 base speed, so. Thunder Punch hits Zapdos and Moltres super hard. It knocks out the Zapdos on 2 out of 16 rolls. And even if it's a max physically defensive Moltres, it's still 2-hit KO'd. Both Fire and Thunder Punch are like decent. They do 36 to 42% to a physically defensive Sableye, but it's not that great because we still fear Knockoff and Will-O-Wisp. Mach Punch, though, is what makes this a really potent revenge killer. It completely one-shots Ash Greninja and Lycanroc. Though it is worth noting that Hitmonchan takes 62 to 75% from a Specs Water Shuriken, if it's battle bonded, and Jolly Life Orb Accelerock does 19 to 23% to us. Next up is Donphan. This is going to be our rocker, and it's also a decent Scizor switch-in. If it's like Adamant, Life Orb, U-turn, it's a 3-hit KO on us. Same with the Jolly Life Orb, Lycanroc Close Combat. That's also a 3-hit KO, I think. I want to get rocks up. It's important for this match. That's the main reason I brought Donphan, so we have Stealth Rock. High Horsepower is going to be our ground stab this week. I chose it over Earthquake due to potential grassy terrain since he has Tapu Bulu. It's only a little bit weaker, 95 versus 100. 95 accuracy isn't that great, but it's definitely better than Earthquake on all accounts, because I don't want to be using Earthquake when there's grassy terrain up. It's still a 2-hit KO on Greninja and Heatmore. It's a 1-hit KO on Lycanroc and offensive Scizor. I'm sorry, no, this is wrong. It's a 2-hit KO on Greninja, Heatmore, and offensive Scizor. And it's a 1-hit KO on Lycanroc. My bad, I misspoke. And it's a good chance to 1-hit KO a roosted Moltres. So if we end up putting the Moltres in a position where it wants to roost, and then we predict that in high horsepower, it's potentially a 1-hit KO. Poison Jab is meant to snipe Tapu Bulu. I could run Gunk Shot, but I'm a bit of a coward. We have 200 attack EVs specifically to allow us to 1-hit KO Tapu Bulu with Poison Jab. And the reason why we're even going for this in the first place is I'm not just going to predict it coming in raw. Rapid Spin is a good safety move. It clears hazards, and it also gives us a speed boost. And we have enough speed EVs to outspeed a Bulu at +1 if I Rapid Spin as it switches in. And this will put us in a good position to Poison Jab and 1-hit KO it. It could be the Poison Resist Berry, but potentially for like Roserade or something, but I don't think it'll run that. Next up is Charizard. This is a good Moltres surprise check, and it's also a good mid-game special attacker. Flamethrower, of course, is a great stab move. It's usually 2-hit KOs, especially defensive Aggron, which can come in really handy if it ends up like being another Iron Defense body press set like it was last time. This blows back any Scizor, and it's a great chance to KO Tapu Bulu. And then the reason why this is going to be a Moltres answer is because we have Ancient Power. We have enough speed EVs to outspeed a timid Moltres, and this does 83 to 98% to an offensive set. I specify offensive set because last time against us he ran special defense. It also gives us a 10% chance to boost every single stat, and it could potentially, if we do get a boost like that, it could potentially let us put in a lot more work than we're expecting to. And then obviously we have Roost to get our health back, and then we have Defog to just remove hazards or any potential screens. I don't think he's bringing screens, but it doesn't hurt. And then lastly we have Noivern. This was formerly Assault Vest Rose Raid as a soft check to Greninja or Tapu Bulu. The idea was it could switch into pretty much any Greninja hit besides Specs Ice Beam, or any Tapu Bulu hit besides like Stone Edge. This Noivern accomplishes the exact same goal, but it also gives us a little bit more utility at the cost of a little bit of offense. I'm specifying, or we have enough, we're bulky enough to be able to take 2 Specs Dark Pulses from Greninja if it's not battle bonded yet. This also lets us switch, like I said, switch into anything but Stone Edge from Tapu Bulu. And this also lets us beat Corsola or even a Substitute Heatmore. We have Infiltrator to let us bypass the Substitute. Flamethrower is going to be our main offense move. It has a chance to 2-hit KO Tapu Bulu. It 1-hit KOs offensive Scizor. U-turn, great pivoting move. I really want to have like a lot of pivoting on this team. One of the things that I don't like about my draft is it doesn't have enough pivoting moves. So I really want to bring U-turn this time. It lets us just get things in easier. Like, I think if I can get Shang-Chi in a lot, then that's really good for us. Or like anything, to be honest, based on what the situation is. Like, a lot of these are things that I really want to get in a lot of time. Toxic is going to be our way of beating Heatmore and Corsola. Even if they have substitute sets, we can, like I said, we can Toxic them because of our Infiltrator ability. So yeah, we could just Toxic either of them and then just spam Roost until they die. And then we have enough speed on our Noivern just to outspeed any Moltres, and then we put the rest in Special Bulk. So yeah, that's the team. Really hope I win this, and yeah, that's it. See you guys.